The narrative introduces us to Scot Harvath, America's ultimate weapon, a legendary former Navy SEAL and elite Black Ops operative who handles the assignments the government cannot officially acknowledge. Harvath is a man who lives within an intense, highly restricted perimeter of duty and scars, operating with a fierce protective instinct for his nation's security. Having faced down global threats for over 2 decades, he understands the cold, mathematical reality of modern warfare. When the global safety grid fails, someone has to step into the dark to fix it. The spark ignites when an absolute humanitarian and geopolitical nightmare breaches the diplomatic radar. Deep within the war-torn borderlands of Eastern Europe, a highly vicious, autonomous mercenary group known as the Wagner Group, augmented by a rogue, ultra-violent criminal vanguard element, has been unleashed. Under the cover of a massive, chaotic regional conflict, these forces are systematically executing horrific war crimes, seizing localized territory, and hunting down a high-value target, an American aid worker and her specialized team, who possess devastating classified evidence of a massive international conspiracy. Harvath's fierce caregiver and protective instincts lock on with absolute unyielding frequency. Recognizing that an official military deployment is politically impossible without triggering a global nuclear escalation, the United States government drops Harvath's team directly into the lawless sector off the books. Operating completely deniable, without an extraction window, and cut off from standard satellite arrays, Harvath enters the active combat zone as a lone wolf, tasked with locating the missing Americans and neutralizing the mercenary threat before the perimeter collapses permanently. What follows is an absolute high-stakes war for survival. The forced proximity reality of navigating a fluid, lawless landscape alongside shell-shocked survivors turns the mission into a relentless psychological pressure cooker. Outnumbered, outgunned, and facing a sadistic enemy that respects no international laws, Harvath must use his massive combat experience, unmatched survival strategy, and lethal close-quarters conditioning to systematically dismantle the mercenary network piece by piece. It is a military action thriller, geopolitical espionage, high-stakes border rescue, behind-enemy lines survival masterpiece that moves with calculated, absolute momentum. The action here burns with a sharp, adrenaline-fueled intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, no rules, no quarter-given energy, where every shadow in a ruined building, every approaching drone footprint, and every pulled trigger carries massive structural weight. The tense, tactical standoff between Harvath's quiet, hyper-focused discipline and the mercenary's arrogant, unchecked savagery is top tier. Thor writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully gritty voice, perfectly capturing the devastating reality of modern war zones, the heavy psychological toll of constant combat, and the overwhelming sanctuary found when a true warrior stands between innocence and absolute evil. What truly elevates this milestone 20-second entry into elite thriller territory is the author's exceptional ability to write deep, emotional human stakes alongside pulse-pounding combat sequences. Harvath isn't just an unfeeling weapon. The genuine grief, honor, and protective drive he displays toward the vulnerable victims of the conflict match his brutal tactical dominance step for step, making his mission to purge the sector feel profoundly redemptive and satisfying. The pacing moves with calculated speed, tracking cryptic military movements and sharp intelligence profiling before ratcheting up to an absolute, breathtaking tactical climax that will leave you reeling. Deadfall is the definitive, pro-level upgrade your action thriller and military suspense library demands right now. It is raw, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputtable. It proves that no matter how lawless a war zone becomes, and no matter how infinite an occupying army believes its power is, it is entirely fragile when Scot Harvath decides it's time to hunt. So lock your front door, adjust your Kindle's lighting, and prepare to cross enemy lines.